And David built himself an extravagant house. And after he was finished building his house, he realized that God did not have a house. Sometimes we can get caught up when we finally get a place that we can forget about what we really went there for. And so David realized after he had spent all this money on his house that God did not have a house. And so David decided, I'm going to build God a house. But then God refused to let him do it. God sent a prophet to him and said, you build your house first. You're not going to build my house. Your son is going to build my house. And so David had to surrender that he wouldn't have the honor of building the house of God. And so flesh had already begun to kick in. You see it's already, he built his house first. And so flesh had already begun to kick in. And David began to get carnal, and he kept on marrying wives. He was the king. And he kept on opening his spirit. And he kept on till the spirit of lust had came in. And so now David is on in his palace taking a bath. And he looked so bad. I don't know what he was doing, but he was in his palace, probably on the balcony. But he looks over and he sees Bathsheba taking a bath. You see, Bathsheba was going through something. Her husband had been to war for a very long time. Her husband Uriah. And her husband was very busy. We know this because even after David sent for him, he wouldn't go into her. And even after David tried to force him home, he wouldn't go into her. So we know he didn't spend much time with her. So she felt she was justified in flirting with the king. And so now she takes a bath in the view of the king. And so the king sends for her and he lays with her. And so David now, flesh is kicking up even more. And sometime later the news gets to David that Bathsheba is pregnant. Say, sin have no limit. And David is in a position. He's in a tight position. You see, the reason David is in a position is because the penalty for adultery was death. And it didn't matter that he was the king. He could not override the rule of the land. And so the fact that Bathsheba, when she was found pregnant, and once it was traced back to him, David was going to be put to death. And so David decides to cover up his wickedness. It didn't matter he was anointed. It didn't matter he's king. He was not untouchable by God. And so David now is king on the throne, and he decides to send for Uriah in hopes that Uriah would go and lay with Bathsheba. And once Uriah lays with Bathsheba, they put the baby on Uriah. There was no DNA in those days. And so he sends for Uriah out of the battlefield. But Uriah wouldn't go home. He tells Uriah, you can go home, enjoy yourself. Uriah said, no, master, I can't feel comfortable that. Uriah doesn't even go and visit Bathsheba. So I tell you what he was about. He said, no, king, I'm not going to go home because I don't feel comfortable that the battle, that the army, that the soldiers